Can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Tupelo Smiles is a top-notch group. They're very compassionate about what they do. They've given me the smile that I've always wanted. I've been a patient for 15 years and I wouldn't go anywhere else. I just love Tupelo Smiles.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
An absolutely beautiful day as we head into our Thursday afternoon. Have you been outside so far? Well, if not, there is still time, but if not today in its entirety, there is still time heading into the weekend. Yes, that beautiful forecast is sticking around, and that's one of the many things we'll be discussing here in the Room to Room Weather Center. Our first headline is, of course, every Thursday's headline. The latest drought monitor has been released, and as expected, those conditions have gotten worse. That's the unfortunate part about it. We'll be talking county by county who is affected here in just a moment, but we're also going to talk about that rainfall outlook. The long-range trend, just what exactly are we expecting, and is there any hope to bring some relief to that drought monitor? And it's not looking too good, but we'll look at that in more detail here in just a moment. And of course, it's Thursday, which means tomorrow is our high school football forecast, our high school game of the week, and Saturday college football is going to be in store. So those cool football forecasts, both literally cool that we have football back in the forecast, but it's also cool on the other literal standpoint, and the fact that it'll feel cool as we head out to those games. So talk about that in more detail coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, but we're going to start with the here and now, and what we're experiencing is those dry and, might I add, clear conditions with sunshine, abundant sunshine there by 6 p.m., 74 degrees, but cooling off pretty dramatically. 9 p.m., 63, and into those overnight hours, even by 1, 2 o'clock, already seeing those 50s back into the forecast, but luckily that's where we'll sit into that early morning commute as we talk about upper 50s in the forecast. You might notice the difference. What do we see from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m.? I feel like those little kid shows that are like, hey, what do you see? Good. No, I'm just kidding. But we are going to see that cloud cover start to build there into midnight and then really build in towards tomorrow morning. So that's why the cooling isn't exactly going to be as cool as what we had previously this morning. But once that cloud cover does clear out, hey, cooler mornings are in store, even cooler than what we'll have for tomorrow. But as promised, here's that latest look at the drought monitor, and a few things stand out. The fact that Itala County is still surviving off that little bit around Kosciuszko is just insane to me, that you guys are not under those drought conditions just yet. But hey, hold strong. You guys got this. Hopefully we can escape this entire season without being under that drought. Not exactly expected this week. Very dry. I expect the last little bit that's not covered to be covered heading into Thursday of next week. But we also have this level 4 drought that was closer to Tuscaloosa County, and we said, hey, Pickens County, Lowndes County, we even mentioned Noxubee County, watch out. Level 4 drought, a realistic possibility as we head into this week's forecast. And what do we have? Level 4 drought extending just outside of Columbus. So this is becoming a little bit more on the extreme side of things. And the unfortunate part about this is it does have effects, and that's going to cause some possible burn bans to be put in place, as well as just those dry conditions, not exactly favorable for those crops. So lots of things that are negative, along with the positive effects that we enjoy with the dry forecast as well. You just have to weigh both sides. But into the rest of our forecast, that level 3 drought all the way into Grenada County, that severe drought, and Lafayette County covered more, even over there towards Marshall County. Now, we do mention that we did have that level 4 drought a couple of weeks ago around Savannah. That is still level 3 strength, and so that is continuing to dip a bit further south. Alcorn County and Tishomingo County included within that. But all of North Mississippi, basically, except for that one spot in Itala County, is under some form of drought. Currently, we have 2 counties that are under burn bans. Wouldn't be surprised by next week we add a few more to that list. Mississippi Live Weather Radar, I would circulate this back into something, but even if we go over the last 12 hours, you might notice nothing on radar except for some birds, some bugs, things like that. We've been in clear air mode all day long, and that's going to continue to be the case into those afternoon plans. I said there's a lot of negative effects with dry weather. There are some positive effects, and that's going to be this evening with any of those plans you may have. If we circulate back on our analysis mode right here and expand things out, you can see that that frontal boundary that pushed in some of that cooler air is currently out in the Atlantic right now, far away from us here in North Mississippi. Going to take it out one more time, and you can see, yes, I mean, we're talking middle of the Atlantic at this point, almost lining up with where Jerry will be here in a few days. But yeah, I mean, that's where we're sitting with that, and then we're currently experiencing that high pressure center. We do have another high pressure that's not as strong, but a weaker one, basically right there just west of Nashville, around the Memphis area. That's continuing to cycle in some of that northern air right here to North Mississippi, and that's why we're getting those cooler effects as well as those drier conditions. But as we head into tomorrow morning, it will be maybe even a few degrees warmer than what we had this morning. That cloud cover going to be a big factor within that, seeing some of that moisture already there towards Birmingham, that kicking in a little bit more west into our neck of the woods as we get into the extended forecast overnight. So Thursday evening, there you see a lot of the action. Utah and Thomasville, Alabama, keeping a lot of that moisture, and those try to surge west. And this was our concern as we got into that forecast, was how far west do we get? And by 10 p.m. you can see very, very little. At most, folks in Aliceville might get a drop of rainfall, but everywhere else in our viewing area, don't expect a drop. It's just going to be those dry conditions persisting, as well as those clouds starting to move in. So clouds, yes, but rain, not really. And those clouds will limit how much we cool off. If you see by 3 a.m., those partly cloudy conditions all the way over basically 50% of our viewing area, that basically puts the cooling at a halt, traps whatever heat is left in the atmosphere, and keeps those temperatures relatively the same for our morning commute. Now, I do want to say Friday morning tries to be ambitious and circulate in a few of those showers, and as you can see, not really expecting that to happen. 6 a.m., dry conditions, partly cloudy conditions though. Those partly cloudy skies linger into the 9 a.m. forecast, and by the time we get towards noon, mostly sunny, and afternoon, pretty much clear across North Mississippi. Temperature-wise, starting out a little bit warmer than what we had this morning, 58 degrees, but by the afternoon, we'll be sitting right where we're at currently, 79 for your afternoon peak heating forecast. So we're, again, excited about another beautiful forecast, excited to have some of those cooler conditions in place once again, and excited as we get into that football forecast tomorrow evening, just to be enjoying a great game in Aberdeen as Choctaw County comes into town, as well as wherever you're going to be enjoying a great game, because that forecast sticks around everywhere in North Mississippi. So coming up in the next 60, we'll be talking more about those details here in the Room to Room Weather Center about the football forecast, as well as the drought monitor, what exactly has happened over the last 30 days to make that become so much worse, and what do we expect the next extended forecast to possibly make it even more worse? We'll figure out a word for it. But either way, just a very dry forecast ahead, and we'll be talking latest details coming up. Mississippi Live Weather at 5 in the next 60.
Experience unmatched comfort with Heirloom, the mattress of choice for true luxury. During the VIP sale at Room to Room, enjoy an extra 10% off customer favorite Heirloom. Don't miss this exclusive opportunity at Room to Room Tupelo.
A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's scary that it can be put into anything, and we can't even see it or notice it.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Well, the big theme of our forecast today has been those dry conditions, and Mississippi Live Weather Radar still highlights exactly that. Just clear air mode on our radar right now, which means that there's no rainfall in the sky. And I mean, I do see a little bit of showers back there towards Tuscaloosa, but that not surging as far west as models were anticipating yesterday. One of the things we talked about and continuing to verify in that forecast, might see a few drops of rainfall down around Aliceville, but that's the extent of that moisture. As you can see on our rainfall totals over the past 24 hours, I could have almost done this over the past 36. Because that's how dry things have been. Not exactly seen a drop here recently, and that dry forecast is making things much worse for our drought monitor. We need several days of about an inch of rainfall, but unfortunately this time of year not exactly expected. At most we'll get a front that rolls on through, gives us some decent rainfall outputs, but then beyond that, just dry forecast in place. And that's what took place over our weekend and into the start of our work week, and that has just allowed this drought monitor to worsen. Level 4 drought, the big thing that stands out, extending all the way towards Columbus and northeast sections of Noxubee County and all the way towards Pickens County. So hopefully Pickens County can get a drop. Level 3 drought for Yalobusha, Grenada, Calhoun, and Lafayette County. I do see a portion of Webster County in there as well. But there are still some locations, Kosciuszko, that are evading the drought. So that's a fortunate thing for you guys, but again, it's something that we expect to get worse over the next few days. And drought monitor probably going to affect everybody, even folks down there in Kosciuszko. So enjoy it while it lasts. But let's go ahead and look at that percent of normal precipitation over the past 30 days. As you can see right here, those greens and blues that pop up, that's going to be an above average precipitation output, but those oranges and yellows, which you're seeing quite a bit of, is below our normal average over the past month. As you can see right here, just a few of those percentages: 47% in Tupelo, 33% in Columbus. And that level 4 drought, hey, it makes sense. 11% of our normal rainfall output being seen in Pickens County. As we come out here towards the west, you can see about 35% there towards Greenwood, 132% in Hollandale, and our highest rainfall output over the past month is up there in the Memphis area, as we're seeing 145% all the way up to 200%. So this is definitely something that we're continuing to pay attention to, as this is kind of basically showing us the worst areas when it comes to those dry conditions. Now, as we get into our futurecast right here, you can see those northerly winds cycling into the area, and that's what's giving us that drier forecast. So for any evening plans, don't need the umbrella. We're going to be on the drier side. But I'm going to take a step to the other side of the screen here real quick, because you do see a little bit of those showers towards Utah and Tuscaloosa trying to get into North Mississippi. And models right here having it at least getting into southern Pickens County and maybe a little bit of southern Noxubee County. But that's the extent of the rainfall. And even that is a bit hard to believe, because winds as of right now are still surging in from the north. And so a lot of this moisture not exactly going to be a saturated environment. So don't really go out the door expecting to see some rainfall. Go ahead and water those plants in advance, because they still need to be hydrated, and they're relying on you to take care of them. Now, as we get into that extended forecast overnight, the big thing to notice right here is not the rainfall, but the cloud cover, because that limits how much we cool off heading into our morning forecast. So for folks seeing the cloud cover, it's going to be slightly warmer. See that right here on our low temperatures, with basically along and east of Highway 45, upper 50s, low 60s, 60 around Columbus, 55 Hamilton, and 58 there towards Amory. We jump out west along I-55, and we're seeing more of those mid-50s, 55 Cleveland and Belzona. But then we get towards the northwest, and that's where it's really those dry and clear skies, 51 Tunica and 52 around Senatobia. So this is definitely a forecast that's affecting others more than it's affecting, folks out west. But luckily, cloud cover hasn't hurt anybody, and temperatures are cool enough to where we can bump it up a few degrees and still be comfortable. So pick up on average going to be around 57 degrees, but drop off 79. So it's still going to be a cool forecast towards the afternoon. I say cool, it's really our normal average. That's just how hot things have been. So luckily still seeing that same margin for our forecast for our Friday, and plenty of sunshine. So that cloud cover does fizzle out as the day goes on and leave us with some comfortable conditions. Now Friday morning, as you can see right here, we are getting, I think that was my stomach rumbling. Oh man, it is dinner time, everybody. As you can see on your Friday morning, those partly cloudy conditions sticking around, but getting into the afternoon, or should I say mid to late morning, we are going to see that cloud cover kind of broaden just a bit before dissolving out completely. Now let's talk about the greens that are popping up. This is a bit ambitious on those rainfall chances. It does have a few light showers towards your Friday morning. Not expecting it. At most, I think that we're just dealing with those partly cloudy conditions, maybe a drop or two throughout our mid-morning, but overall, this is just going to block how much that heat gets in and block how quickly we heat things up. This is really what we expect to be those cumulus clouds up in the sky. If there's some vertical component to the atmosphere, well, then we could get one of those to produce a few drops of rain. And that's what we're dealing with, but those areas, very, very isolated. 12 p.m. on your Friday, still seeing mostly sunny skies. So that's where we start to transition into more of a beautiful forecast towards the afternoon. 1:30, 2, and 3 o'clock, there we see those sunny skies returning. So it's going to be a great outlook as we wrap up our Friday, as we wrap up our work week, and we get into those high school football games. So Friday evening, you can see those mostly sunny skies sticking around the forecast, and we'll see exactly that for our high school game of the week forecast. High temperatures going to be upper 70s, low 80s across the region. So it's about what we'd expect this time of year. So no faults there. We're just excited to be at our normal average, right? So 76 degrees pregame, falling to 66 by halftime, and 62 by that final snap. Your high school game of the week forecast presented by Casey Lott, showcasing those great conditions. And temperature-wise, going to be a cool, I would say mid to end of the game. So have that at least jacket or sweatshirt on standby, because you will need it at some point during the game, whether you're cold-natured or not. So as we get into our Friday evening, you can see those dry conditions continue to remain in place. So don't worry about rain jackets. We're talking more about the warm jackets. You do see a little bit of moisture out there towards Arkansas, but a lot of that's a part of a stationary front that starts to basically go up north away from us here in North Mississippi. So not seeing any rainfall in our forecast. Might see a drop or two for folks heading to the Missouri game for our Alabama fans, but that's really the extent of folks in North Mississippi seeing those rain chances. 6 p.m. on your Saturday, still remaining dry, and even into those late evening hours and overnight hours, going to see those dry conditions in place. So have you gotten the message? It's a beautiful forecast, and we're going to continue to talk about that more in detail, but temperature-wise continues to be a big story this week as we've fallen from that hot and humid weather to start into the upper 70s and low 80s, more low 80s on your Saturday afternoon, but I do see a few upper 70s in Boonville, Iuka, and Corinth, 79 in Louisville, 82 Grenada, and 83 around Belzona. So that's really the idea that we want to push to you guys, is that we're not going to see those warm temperatures return, definitely not those sticky conditions like what we had, but if you jump up north, I said there could be a chance at a few showers. It really depends on when that front rolls through there in Columbia, Missouri, as the Crimson Tide take on the Tigers up there. I won't say the official name in respect for our chief meteorologist, Matt Lavhan, but I want to keep him in mind when talking about this forecast. So in honor of him, roll Tide. We'll see how that goes. First place, 67, halftime 74, and 76 towards that final snap. Still should be a beautiful forecast. A lot of that frontal boundary has cleared, but it could be some of that moisture lagging behind that we see up there in Columbia. Washington State coming to Oxford to take on the Ole Miss Rebels, 11:45 on your Saturday. So as the game goes on, temperatures start to climb, but I mean, we're still not talking anything too hot. About 78 during that final snap. So sunny skies, also a big highlight. Get out there to the Grove to cheer on the Rebels. Should be a great game out there. And if you can't, well, just get outside during your weekend, because that sunny sky will linger for Saturday and Sunday. High temperatures do climb just a bit, 81 degrees Saturday and 83 by Sunday. But look at the lows. We're talking 57 on Friday, falling off to the low 50s Saturday. Not as much cloud cover, so we don't blanket that heat as much. And then 53 on Sunday. That's the average. I wouldn't be surprised if there were a few upper 40s in this forecast as we get into our weekend, just making those conditions even better. So folks up there can definitely be excited along the Tennessee state line, but I'm going to be paying attention to that in more detail as we head into our Friday forecast. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, temperatures do climb into the mid 80s, so we are moving back into those above average temperatures, but I want you to pay attention to the lows and the highs, the difference that we're seeing. That difference is about 30 degrees, so it still shows a very dry atmosphere. So not talking about the mid 80s we had earlier this week, this is going to be a drier mid 80s, which is a more bearable mid 80s. So yes, it is going to be above average, but still no complaints, because it is actually going to be a forecast that we can handle here in North Mississippi. So we'll talk more details about that forecast heading into your weekend and heading into the next couple of weeks. We're also going to be tracking the tropics in more detail coming up tonight at 6. So make sure to stay tuned about that. And it is Severe Weather Preparedness Week. We'll have more on that coming up tonight at 6. Today is flash flooding. You ever dealt with it? A lot of folks in North Mississippi have. We'll have ways you can stay safe coming up here in the next 40 minutes or so. But until then, have a great evening, and we'll see you back here in just a few. Oh wait, I'm over here wrapping it up. Yeah, download the free app. Make sure to do so. It's available on iOS and Android today, and it's free and available. And make sure you have the latest update to make sure things are running as smoothly as possible. And we again appreciate your guys' support so much in this journey that we've been on. And our live broadcast also available on the app. Our next one, as I was talking about a few moments ago, at 6 p.m. And we also have our next one beyond that, happening at 10 p.m. Latest model runs, that'll be key for your extended forecast, and we'll talk more detail about that at 10 p.m. this evening. We also have our morning shows readily available with meteorologist Maggie McCauley, giving you what to expect for the day ahead, coming up at 6:30, 7, and 7:30. We'll see you back here at 6 for our next broadcast. Until then, have a great evening.
Visualize perfection, freshly picked ingredients, tantalizing flavors, sweet and sour intertwine, and dance into your glass. One-of-a-kind arrangements, hitting every note. Why wait for the weekend? It's on at the grill.
Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.